Hey guys, what's up? It's Spartacus here, and this is my review of the PS4, PS3, and PlayStation Vita game CounterSpy. I played it on the PlayStation 4. CounterSpy is a 2D side-scrolling action game about a spy agency trying to stop the two biggest world powers from blowing up the moon in the Cold War era. Like many 2D side-scrollers before it, the story is not the focus, which means gameplay is king. Unfortunately, while demonstrating some good ideas, CounterSpy falls a little short in that department. Let's start off with the good stuff. The art style and music in Counter-Spy are great. The saxophone-laden soundtrack is reminiscent of classic spy movies. The art style is comic book-esque with your main character, the agent, being a shadowy figure in a world full of color. The game is also wonderfully and subtly funny, with the main plot's dialogue being ridiculous and many things found written within the levels giving the player a good chuckle. Counter-Spy's developer, Dynamite, did some inventive things with Counter-Spy's gameplay. Not only is it a side-scrolling game, but it is also a cover-based shooter. Your character can duck behind objects and shoot into the foreground and the background. This gives Counter-Spy a somewhat 3D appeal. These mechanics, however, do have some problems. Shooting out of cover is very difficult and imprecise, especially when dealing with enemies in the background. At times, this could lead to death. It's never fun to die based not on something you did, but due to difficult and clunky controls. Speaking of death, Counter-Spy's life and death system is quite unique. The player's punishment for dying is the DEFCON level being raised. Once the DEFCON level reaches 0, 0 being the highest, a 1-minute countdown timer starts. If you can't reach the end of the level before the timer expires, it's game over, at which point you can choose to retry the mission or abandon the game and start a complete new one. This is an inventive take on the classic idea of lives in 2D platformers, and it's quite effective in this situation. The game's main flaw is the level generation and design. Levels in Counter-Spy are procedurally generated. The problem with this is that there's not enough variety in the levels you encounter. After playing 5 or so missions, you feel like you've seen it all, and the game gets very repetitive. The only exception to this was the final level, which felt different and fresh compared to the rest of the game. The repetitive nature of the game led to a lack of sense of progression. There are upgrades that can be acquired through your missions, but they don't fill the need to press on, especially with the story not being the focus of the game. Frankly, Counter-Spy can get a little boring. The stealth elements of the gameplay can also be frustrating. I found it nearly impossible to get through a mission without being spotted. In many cases, the game forces you to get into a gunfight with multiple agents instead of taking them out stealthily or just moving past them. That is the reason why I label Counter-Spy an action side-scroller and not a stealth side-scroller as was advertised. The game actually punishes you for not killing everyone. If you would prefer to slip past undetected, you get less points than if you eliminate all the guards. This feels counterintuitive to the gameplay's stealth mechanics. While Counter-Spy has some great ideas and gameplay innovation, its repetitive nature leads it to be a bit boring. Its gameplay also lacks polish and can be a bit difficult to navigate. The game does, however, have a few other redeeming qualities, which is why I gave it an okay score of 6.5 out of 10.